Okay, this is the top of the line system, at least in terms of power and weight and price, from Electric Cycle's part of their e-RAD lineup. Okay, this is a 750 watt geared mid-drive system that's actually from Bafang 8 Fun, but it's highly optimized for e-RAD and the Electric Cycle guys, because there is a shift sensor involved, and it's actually a physical shift sensor. They run it in line. When you shift, it senses that and it cuts motor power, so that helps to just reduce wear on your drivetrain. That also means it has custom firmware, and then these guys, of course, have custom battery pack with Panasonic cells. Just really, really nice stuff, and a 1-year comprehensive warranty or 1,000 cycles on the battery pack. It's solid. It's really a solid system. I've enjoyed testing it, and this is the top of the line offering for someone who wants to. Maybe you have a cargo bike and you're actually hauling a lot of stuff around, or you live somewhere that maybe you're a big person, there's a lot of hills, that kind of thing. If you need that extra power, this could be the best shot for you, really. And you could convert a bike yourself, or you could work with one of their dealers. They have like 55 plus all around the United States that can do this for you, or you can buy one of their pre-converted bikes on the website. We've got a few conversions in here that we're just looking at. They kind of soup these up and do tests, or maybe sometimes they do some repairs for people, that kind of thing, locally, because this is a popular kit, and they will sell you some of their upgraded pieces, maybe their controller and shift sensor. I think they can work with you to get those if you already have this system, but of course all of theirs kind of come with it. And the bike that has the 750 watt installed on it is this giant Anthem right here, and it is a ton of fun. Full suspension bike. Being able to use a mid-drive like this, it keeps the weight low and balanced, just really good for performance, reduces the unsprung weight, leverages your cassette for climbing, and with the 750 watt motor, it actually, the electric drive system is operating at 25 amps, okay? But there's also higher current, so you're using a 48 volt system instead of 36, which is what's used on their 2 lower end systems. So let me give you some prices here. You can get the 750 watt just stock with 73 millimeter bottom bracket length. That is $950. Okay, so that's kind of stock. A lot of bikes have that bottom bracket size. That's cool, but if you're someone who wants to convert like a fat bike or something, you might need a larger bottom bracket, like 100 millimeters. Or maybe you're using, like we were looking at that Giant over there. A lot of bikes from Giant and Trek, they have the different sizes, so they also have a press fit setup. So there's a BB86, BB90, BB92, and BB95. Basically, they can make it work with that. They've done a lot of custom machine work to create this, like, kind of see that? It's like a sleeve for it, kind of like a shim, I guess, that's custom engineered so that it will fit, so that you can actually adapt this to use on those bikes. Before this option was available, you really were limited. Maybe you'd have to get like an impulse drive system on a Focus bike, or maybe a high bike with the Bosch system. Those are all great. They're awesome bikes. I really like them. They've got great shift sensing technology that's actually using speed, cadence, and torque. This one just uses, it's more like a cadence sensor. Okay, so it's pretty responsive, but it's maybe not quite as refined as that. But with their shift sensor, it's actually pretty good. It's not going to bang on your drive system as hard, and this one's quite a bit more powerful. This is 750 watts versus a 350 or 250 watt alternative from those other brands. And it's actually fairly light and fairly affordable. So if you have one of those wider bottom brackets, the price does jump up a little bit. It's $1,200, and then they, on their website, there's all these options for sizing it correctly for your bike. And then there are 2 battery options. So we're looking at a couple packs right here. This is the Dolphin Pack, is kind of what they call it. They're kind of phasing this out. It's a good pack. It's locking, it's removable, it's got the LED power indicator, USB charger. It's solid, but they're moving to something that's a little bit lower profile. It's a little sleeker, kind of nice. It doesn't have the USB charging port anymore, but it does have the LED charge level indicator right there on the front, which is nice. And this just keeps the weight closer to the frame and might fit a little bit better on like a full suspension bike or something. So that's really cool. That's coming really soon. Oh, and I should say the batteries inside that are going to be in this nice like honeycomb casing, so they'll be even more sturdy. And I've done like a separate little video just visiting these guys and talking about all their systems, but this is what it looks like inside. Those are Panasonic cells, really high quality, lithium, manganese, cobalt, and they're like hardwired together with that metal plating instead of just wires. So really good stuff. Definitely more performance oriented, should be more reliable over time, and that's just taken it even further with this honeycomb design. So anyway, the 2 battery size we were talking about. Whoops, hope I'm not making a mess for them here. I didn't drop a piece. We'll get to that later. The 2 sizes are 48 volt 9 amp hours for the smaller one, and that's $695, or 48 volt 11 amp hours, and that's $895. Of course, the more amp hours you get, the further you can go. It's just, there's just more watt hours total. So wanted to call that out. You know, 48 volt systems tend to run a little bit more efficiently with, there's more power throughput, and with that 25 amp, that kind of current, you're really pushing this thing. You know, it's really capable machine. And this is definitely the kind, I kind of as good as you can get, I think, for climbing. And you got the throttle. So earlier I was talking about these competing products. I really like those, but they don't have a throttle. And you can't overclock them. These will go faster. This is going to be able to top 20 miles per hour if you go in and mess with that. Do be careful. I'm not necessarily recommending that. I'm just saying there are people who want to go off-road and use something like this in the right setting, and they give you access to that. There's like a little pin code. I'll talk about that later. But I did want to weigh the motor here. So this is the, you can see on the bottom here, BS02 48 volt 750 watt. Weighing it here, 9.1 pounds. So this is a little bit wider than the BBS01, or maybe longer. The canister is a little bit heavier. There's more copper in there. This is as good as it gets from 8Fun Bafang right now. So neat to see that, and just get some idea. If you have a bike, you're putting 9 pounds at that bottom bracket. And then maybe I can find a 48 volt battery laying around here somewhere. There it is, 48 volt 9 amp hours. So I don't have the 11 amp hour. I think they sold out of them recently, but 9 amp hours is 6.85, so about 7 pounds. I'd imagine, you know, you might add another half a pound for that 11 amp hour pack if you wanted it. So just great to know the options. And if you got it, if you ordered it stock, you didn't get it from a shop or anything, it would come in a box much like this, and you'd have your, you know, little button pad in here, your display panel, color-coded wires, brake levers with motor inhibitors integrated. These are mechanical. I think you can get hydraulic, but you know, you might have to do it on your own, or it costs a little bit more. This is just the stock twist grip throttle, but they also offer trigger throttle, left or right. So it's super cool. You can set this up if you're someone who's left-handed, or maybe you just have a really crowded right grip. You can put stuff over on the left, or vice versa. So really cool that they offer that. Got your cranks here, standard crank arms, and then some hardware for installing that, let's see, chain ring, and then this is sort of like the Y plate for actually mounting the motor. So good stuff right here. Maybe I don't know if I try to weigh this stuff here. It's not going to be a perfect thing, but you know, the brake levers with the some of the other hardware. You know, we're talking about like 2.5, 3 pounds for all the rest of this stuff. And again, this is a little heavier because it's got the grips attached, but I thought that'd be kind of fun just to give you some idea. You can do the math and see how heavy your bike will be. Whoop. One of the other really cool upgrades or customizations they offer is you don't have to stick with the stock steel, you know, really wide chain ring. These guys can work with you, and you can choose from one of 3 race face chain rings. Okay, so this is a 34 tooth. It goes narrow wide, and that just means that, you know, in your chain there's these links and they kind of go together like that. Well, the slot is narrow and the next slot's wide, next slot's narrow. So they've kind of matched that to the teeth on the chain ring, and by doing that they reduce slop, which means it's going to be harder for the chain to fall off. And by having fewer teeth, you're going to be creating a better leverage for the motor to pull you, to power the bike when you're off-road. So it's just another way to really customize your bike. And of course they've got these nice custom chainring adapters. Good stuff all around, really nice looking. So that's it. That's kind of the quick look at what comes in the box and some idea of the choices you have and the pricing and stuff. You don't have to buy this on your own. You can work with a local shop, or you don't have to do the kit thing at all. You can go ahead and straight up like order one of their bikes, and they really just buy an Electra bike or whatever, and they'll make a conversion for you. They have several stock bikes listed on the website, but their dealers also do this, and it's just kind of neat to think about like what you might want to create. Maybe you have a bike you really like that fits you. This is a really efficient and high quality way to make that into an electric bike using a pretty good system, a system that's been refined even further by Electric Cycles. So here's the bike we're going to be looking at. I'm going to go ahead and try and get it out of the bike rack real quick here. There we go. Sweet. It's looking pretty awesome. Again, like, just check out the motor right there, and you can see the shim and some of the extension work going on. They've had to modify these to work with this type of bike, but the results are awesome. I mean, you've got that low center of gravity, the ability to choose your battery pack and have it like mid-frame mounted. They do have some rear rack mounting options, like on that Townie over there on the back. You can kind of see it, but I think for the most part, using that mid pack is the way to go. On this bike, it's reducing the unsprung weight, having the battery and everything right there in the middle. And if we come here over on the other side, you can see they've got that race face on there with a kind of a bash guard, that aluminum plate there that's going to protect the teeth further. And then, of course, the shift sensor. That's what's really important, especially when you're dealing with a 750 watt motor here, because this is it's just really amplifying what you would output as a person pedaling. It's taking that to the next level. It's creating more pressure and power and pull on the chain and on those sprockets in the rear, and you don't want to bend those. You don't want to break your bike, and so that's where the shift sensor comes into play. And on this one, it's kind of integrated up here. Kind of see there's the shifters, and then there's the little box that's proprietary. So they've got exclusive distribution rights to that in the US, I think through 2018. So that's a pretty awesome advantage. They helped kind of co-engineer this system and get the firmware and everything right. So it's really cool. When we're starting out, basically you charge the battery, and you can charge it on or off the bike, which is nice, especially if you're commuting, or maybe you want to store that bike hanging off the back of your car on like a bike rack or something. It's nice to be able to take the battery off. And of course, then you top it off when you're inside. You do have to power it on separately. So I press that first, then I come up here and I press power again, and the display comes on. So it's 2 steps. It's not terrible. This isn't the only e-bike that makes you do that. It might even be better for, I don't know, just reducing the potential for like a fire or something. If you're storing this, being able to completely shut the battery off is cool, but it's a little bit of a hassle too, in my opinion. The display pad is front and center, and it can kind of swivel, but I think you'd either have to leave it sort of loose or set it at the angle that you want. It's not removable, but it's pretty nice looking. It's a good readout, and it does have like a light sensor. So right now it's kind of become backlit because it's getting a little darker. But you got your speed up top, miles per hour. We've got a battery level indicator with 5 bars, pedal assist level, and those are your primary readouts. And you can change pedal assist by arrowing up or down. By default, there are 5 levels, and the highest level, of course, you're going to use the battery faster, but you're going to get more power, so it's going to be fun. At any time when you're in pedal assist, you can override with the throttle. Woo! This thing jumps. So that's kind of cool, because a lot of times I'll be riding like off-road in level 2 or 1, but then I'll hit like a really steep section where I feel like I need extra help. You can just tap that throttle. And I love that they offer trigger throttles, because I don't want to compromise my grip when I'm riding a mountain bike, or really a lot of bikes. I just prefer trigger throttles because it leaves the cockpit a little bit cleaner and a little bit more secure feeling. I like that they offer that, again, left or right. So from here, there are a few other readouts you can do to the right on the button pad, and that changes that lower area. So we've got trip distance, overall distance odometer, and time. And then if we look up top here, and we press to the left, we can go from average speed to max speed, just to current speed. So there's a lot of good readouts here. It's fairly intuitive. And if you double tap that power button in the center, it brings you into like like master mode or whatever, and there's kind of like a password that you type in, and it allows you to adjust the max speed and the wheel size and all that stuff we were talking about. So you can really make your bike go fast. But please be careful out there. You know, follow the laws, and you know, just yeah. So there's my warning, I guess. You know, I care about people, care about bikes a lot and stuff, and it's you know, it's a bigger responsibility with something like this. You know, we want people to have a great time, but also to have the freedom to ride the way that they feel like they need to go fast to keep up with traffic if they're feeling insecure, or maybe to ride off-road in a place where they're just having fun jumping or something. You can do that with a kit like this, so that's really cool. That's one of the upsides of having something that's a little bit more, I don't know, kind of like a kit, something that's kind of custom or DIY. One of the downsides is that you just have a lot more cables. Like if you look at this mess of cables at the front, they've done their best to kind of clean them up and, you know, run them along the frame and make them blend in with this black frame, but there are clearly a lot more cables going on. They aren't run through the frame. And that battery pack, if you look at it from the top, it's tipped a little bit to the right, like that way, and that's just because, you know, the Brazons or the Bosses on the bottle cage mount, which is where this mounts to, they might be a little crooked. So there's nothing you can do about that. Like the battery pack is just sort of always going to be a little bit to the right. These are little aesthetic like complaints that I think every kit has to deal with, unless you got some sort of e-bike ready frame and then ran all the cables through yourself. But you know, that trade-off might be worth it for someone who wants the extra power or versatility of a kit like this. So enough talking. Let's get out there and ride this thing and show you what it's all about. Really get a nice shot of that backlit display. Be cool. Here we go. So I love full suspension bikes for e-bikes because, you know, you're going faster as the results of the motor, and the bumps and stuff can really just sort of eat away at you over longer distances, which you also tend to do when you're, you know, in assist mode. Something like this, you could get really good range, you could have a pretty comfortable ride with the suspension, and you can go very quickly, and you don't even have to pedal, you can just use that throttle. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit that. Whoa boy. Nice to have those brake lever and inhibitors right there. Cuts power to the motor immediately. This time I'm gonna kind of shift through, and as I do, maybe you can listen for the motor as I change gears. Let's see. So you can clearly hear it, and I can feel it shutting down the motor, kind of relaxing it as I shift. And that's what's so unique about this system. It's just definitely reducing the jerkiness and kind of the grinding, crunching that no one likes to hear when you're on a bike that you probably paid a lot of money for. I'm gonna go ahead and take it up, try to hit pedal assist level 5 and get some higher speed. Pretty responsive. Yeah, the pedal assist switches on and switches off pretty quickly for being something that's just, you know, pedalec, kind of sensing your pedal movement. So I'm impressed, you know. I've looked at all of their kits and I've toured their shop and thought about the warranty and the pricing, and this is a really cool system. I can see why so many shops are kind of carrying it and offering to convert bikes to electric using this, especially because now with their customized bottom brackets, you can put this on virtually anything. It's a tandem, or whether it's a fat bike or a full suspension bike like this, and you can come away spending, you know, a couple thousand to a few or maybe 5,000, end up with something really awesome instead of being limited to just some really expensive, like, one-size-fits-all options from other companies. It might not be as aesthetically pleasing in some ways, but they've really done a great job on the shift sensing. I've got to hand it to them for that. So that's the Electric Cycles e-RAD 750 watt e-bike kit. For the full write-up on this, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Of course, you can also check out the forums or maybe leave a video response if you've got this kit or if you have anything to add. These guys are going to be introducing some more stuff at Interbike and ongoing. They've been around since mid-2012, doing a pretty good job. I got to hand it to them. And yeah, ride safe.